Bob Dylan has never liked being told what rock music is supposed to be. For more than 6 decades, he has dodged labels, rejected expectations, and rewritten the rules whenever people thought they had him figured out. Folk hero. Rock rebel. Poet. Prophet. Traitor. Genius. Dylan has been called everything, often in the same year. At 84, with his legacy long cemented and nothing left to defend, Dylan has finally let his guard down just enough to reveal something fans have always wondered about. What does Bob Dylan actually listen to? Not what influenced him in theory. Not what critics assume he loves. But the rock albums that truly stayed with him, the records he admired, respected, and quietly carried with him through his own restless journey. These are not obvious picks. They are not trendy answers. They are the 5 rock albums Bob Dylan holds above the rest. 1. The Beatles, Revolver. This is the album that truly stunned Bob Dylan. Revolver wasn't just a step forward, it was a leap into the unknown. Dylan admired how the Beatles refused to repeat themselves, even at the height of their fame. The lyrics grew darker. The arrangements became daring. The ideas expanded. Songs like Tomorrow Never Knows and Eleanor Rigby showed Dylan that rock could be experimental without losing its soul. That popularity didn't have to mean compromise. This album confirmed something Dylan already believed but had never seen executed so completely. Rock music could evolve endlessly. Revolver wasn't chasing trends. It was creating futures. For Dylan, that made it the ultimate rock album. 2. Little Richard. Here's Little Richard. If Chuck Berry built the road, Little Richard set it on fire. Dylan admired Little Richard's total abandon. This album was explosive, wild, and unhinged in the best possible way. The vocals screamed. The piano attacked. The energy was uncontrollable. There was no calculation here. Only urgency. Dylan has said that Little Richard didn't perform songs, he survived them. That kind of intensity stayed with Dylan, especially in his live performances where chaos often outweighed perfection. This album taught Dylan that rock music wasn't just about sound. It was about release. And sometimes, that mattered more than meaning. 3. Elvis Presley, 1956. Before Dylan changed music, Elvis blew it open. Elvis's debut album wasn't subtle. It wasn't polite. It was shocking. A cultural earthquake disguised as a collection of songs. Dylan has often said that hearing Elvis felt like being let out of jail. This album fused black rhythm and blues with country and attitude in a way that terrified parents and electrified kids. Elvis didn't sing like anyone else. He didn't move like anyone else. And he didn't ask permission. Dylan learned something crucial from this record. You don't need to explain yourself if the feeling is real. That lesson would guide Dylan through every controversial turn of his career, especially when he plugged in the electric guitar and refused to apologize. 4. The Rolling Stones, Exile on Main St. This choice surprises no one, but the reason behind it matters. Dylan admired Exile on Main St. not for its hits, but for its messiness. The album sounded exhausted, loose, and human. It felt like a band surviving rather than performing. To Dylan, that mattered. The Stones blended blues, gospel, country, and rock into something murky and imperfect. There was no polish. No clear center. Just songs bleeding into each other like a late night that never quite ends. Dylan respected albums that didn't explain themselves. Exile didn't ask for understanding. It existed. That raw honesty mirrored Dylan's own approach during his most restless periods. 5. Chuck Berry, The Great 28. Bob Dylan never hid his reverence for Chuck Berry. To Dylan, Berry wasn't just a pioneer, he was the blueprint. The Great 28 distilled everything Dylan believed rock music should be: sharp storytelling, attitude, rhythm, and danger. These songs weren't abstract. They were alive. Berry wrote about cars, girls, trouble, freedom, everyday American life, and turned it into mythology. Dylan once said that Chuck Berry's lyrics were like short stories set to a beat, and that idea shaped Dylan's entire songwriting philosophy. Rock didn't need to be complicated. It needed to be true. This album taught Dylan that simplicity, when done right, could be revolutionary. Bob Dylan's choices reveal something important. He doesn't worship perfection. He doesn't chase popularity. He doesn't care about polish. He values truth, risk, and feeling. These 5 albums didn't just influence Dylan, they validated his instincts. They proved that rebellion, honesty, and evolution weren't flaws. They were the point. Which album on this list surprised you the most? And which one would make your top 5? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more legends uncovered. And remember, rock music doesn't belong to the loudest voice. It belongs to the bravest one.